The Supreme Appliance is dead. Great news! You've made your mournful public statement, and now you're ready to hatch your plot to steal the supreme seat of power. You only need to outmaneuver your fellow ministers first. Happy New Year, game fans! It's your favourite host of ShutUpAndSitDown.com, a toaster with eyes and hands. Extra observant viewers might be asking, what happened to our regular host? Was he magically transformed into a kitchen appliance by a witch's curse? Did a horrific data incident cause his soul to get turned into ones and zeros? Did he have full plug and socket with an air fryer and produce me, his tiny metal prodigy? No, don't be silly. He's simply on a short break. And so I have stepped in to fill his shoes for this review. I was told I was just perfect for the role, which is actually some pretty messed up typecasting when you think about it. But life's tough out there for sentient appliances with dreams of becoming YouTube board game influencers, ever since Tom Vassell had that pay dispute with a power washer and creative differences with a microwave. Board games are more than just toys, Vassell! Take some pride in your hobby, and for God's sake, show us what's under the hat!
You are the Mandalorian or some of his friends, and you go through missions together and fight off bad guys and try to accomplish your mission. It's a very good game.
So, on with the review. I just need to open the box. I can't quite reach. Power Vacuum is a game of political manipulation that plays up to 5 willing comrades, and has you and your friends engaging in all sorts of manipulation and trickery. Because the core of this game is a trick taker! Play cards into the middle of the table with the highest suited card winning the trick. Unless one of these red aggression cards is played, they'll trump most anything played previously. You'll play tricks until everyone's out of cards, where you'll then end the round and score some points. Simple stuff. But trick-taking games these days are defined by their weird twists, and Power Vacuum has a whole stack of them. First off, these cards show their suit on the front and on the back, meaning you can see the exact quantities of what players do and do not have at any given time. This gives you a lot more control than you might expect in a trick taker, until you introduce spies, which look like any other card on the back, but have the spy suit on the other side. Whoa! Spies have a niche purpose. They'll specifically trump any red cards played into a trick. A kind of turbo trump that'll swap someone's safe bet into an absolute disaster. So that's cool, but there's way more going on here, because both winning and losing a trick in Power Vacuum is slightly more involved than you might expect. Winning is the more straightforward of the two. Your reward is either to take a point or stash any card from the trick to be used in the next round of the game. Losing the trick is much weirder, and it's where the real meat of Power Vacuum lurks. If you play the lowest card into a trick, then you'll get to manipulate the switchboard. Don't worry, it's not that scary. Each manipulation has you do 2 simple things. To first transfer power from one appliance to another across this little wire, and then move just one end of that wire to a new appliance. But why is that important? Well, before you play a card in Power Vacuum, you can place something of a bid as to what this switchboard is going to look like at the end of the round. In addition to their regular hand of cards, players get an extra card showing 2 appliances. When they bid at the start of any of their turns, this card is revealed and oriented to show which appliance they want to have the most power and which they want to have the least at the end of the round. If you get one right, then you get some points. But if you get both right, you're on the fast track to supreme power. But being in the position to manipulate this board reliably on your own is tough, and so enlisting the help of your fellow comrades becomes paramount. Oh, you're a big fan of the blender, I see. How's about we get to know each other now and settle our differences a little bit later? Oh, Derek wants the radio to do well this round, huh? Shame that he's got a lot of points. Let's make sure we tank that plan together, eh? It is sharp. revealing this information early actually nets you more points, but is the information cost really worth it? Oh, everyone now knows your intentions. Maybe it's best to lock in when things are more stable, but you'd better not wait too long, because after too many cards are played, your bid changes from just one having to be correct to both. A shoot-the-moon option that's incredibly hard to wrangle with so many conflicting opinions around the table. And this all then escalates with the final big twist. That power that you're putting on this switchboard, that you're transferring around throughout the round, well, at the end of the round, it doesn't just vanish into thin air, it goes to that player. Of course you're campaigning for red to get all that power, Gary. It's you! Oh, it's all getting so exciting that I'm starting to run out of juice. Charge me up, Stephen! Each player is one of these colours, and any power that's sat on them at the end of the round is just a direct cluster of points going straight to them. Putting a bunch of power on green might be the best, most bankable option for you right now. But do you want to give your friend a massive payday? What's in it for you? Have they revealed their intentions? Will they give you a hand? What if their secret card lets them bet on themselves? Dare you put a bid in for yourself out there? Or will people police your ambitions? As well as this, the restrictive way in which the power gets transferred is a fascinating puzzle, with only one end of this wire getting moved at a time. There's many points in the game where you won't get the move you want, but you can suggest a direction for the next player. Or sometimes you can force them to not have a choice at all. Sometimes there's a flurry of activity. If multiple players get the privilege of being the lowest card in the trick, this thing will move multiple times, allowing for deliberate and scary swings. And what follows is a really enticing blend of trick-taking and negotiation, with both elements feeding nicely into one another. The unpredictability of the tricks makes for spur-of-the-moment deals, but also pushes for those very same alliances to crumble under pressure. Everything being so shaky and so opportunistic, it puts you in exactly the right frame of mind. Initially, it's a weird mix, but the more you play it, the more you realize that its theme and mechanics are a snug fit. Players in the lead are taken down a peg by the rabble below as agreements get made fast and fall apart faster. It's a game of squabbles. It's siding with the big guns when it suits you and crawling back when you get burned. It's the underdog mewing themselves to the top. It's friends at each other's throats 1 minute and cuddling up the next. Do you ally with someone looking at the absolute state of their hand? What can you infer about how they might be able to change standings? What can you infer about how many points they might net themselves regardless? Power Vacuum is a messy trick taker, but I quite like it that way. There's a lot of extras for the genre that don't make the game particularly clean, but do make it dramatic. And they push this sort of quirky meta that develops outside of the written rules. Our group went through several stages with this one. Initially very cagey with information, then incredibly open, then learning to maybe bend the truth just a little to get what they want. Our relationship to winning changed as well. Initially it was every appliance for themselves, but later games had such dastardly plays that would increasingly get into suboptimal deals to kingmake our way to victory. We all hate the blender. If one of us manages to get there first, then that's a win for everyone in our book. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it fits the theme so nicely. Large chunks of power changing hands rapidly for increasingly petty reasons. The word here is cohesive. Power Vacuum is a groan-worthy pun, but it's so well internalized throughout the entire design. I'd be doing the game a disservice here if I didn't talk about the presentation. The card art is so delightful. Look at this guy printing propaganda. Look at the money laundering going on here. This card has a hairdryer dictator literally blowing hot air. I have a particular soft spot for this interrogation officer who is the lamp. And I really enjoy the way that getting points isn't as simple as just tallying tokens. You trade in stacks of 10 to build tiers of a statue to your own greatness. It is all so charming, and it's wrapped up in a really refreshing color palette as well. Just top marks on all of the presentation. Thing is, I think I'm just a little shy of fully recommending it for a smattering of reasons. Firstly, the game end can sometimes feel a little anticlimactic, simultaneously a little too long and a little too short. We quite often had players with 3 tiers of their statue fully built, looking to just get a trickle of points in that final round to secure the win, which can feel a little disheartening. How effective can you really be as a table, stopping them from getting like 3 points that they need to win the game, or maybe getting just one of their predictions right? It can give that last round an almost inevitable feeling, which can be a little disappointing at times. You often have these big swings followed by a really small, flat trickle of points to actually close out the game, which feels like the wrong way round for your big moments to happen. It also has quite a bulky production. It's nice that you have this lovely switchboard with its magnetic components and these chunky wooden power tokens and these big cards, but I do feel as though this game would be well served by being just a little bit smaller. You could very easily turn everything into just cards. And part of me wonders if I'd be more likely to keep it around if it didn't take up so much room on a shelf. It's fighting for space amongst a lot of really good card games that are a whole lot smaller. I think those two factors combined push it just shy of the evergreen spots that my most favourite trick takers sit in. It is A tier, brushing up into S now and again, and hey, that's no mean feat. And that's the end of this first review from me, a toaster with eyes and hands. If you want to hear more about Power Vacuum, then you can check out the Shut Up and Sit Down podcast, where those guys talk about the game a bunch alongside a whole other load of games. It's good. It's a good podcast. And this month, if you donate to Shut Up and Sit Down, you get a little bonus video talking about some of the games that we missed in the year of our Lord, 2024. I messed up. I said we, like them. No, it's them. It's not me. I'm a toaster boy. I got kind of sick of this bit by the end of the video. Can you tell my arms really hurt? Thank you for watching. See you next week. Bye-bye. I should have filmed the whole video like this. Look how spooky it looks.